for
Get ready, please.
the visitors crew from Tideway Scullers and Molesey, still with his hand up. It's quite challenging, actually, you know, the balance of the boat, getting that hand up to signal that you're not straight whilst trying to get ready to row.
Attention!
A big challenge.
Go!
But we are underway with this, an intermediate level event, the Visitors Challenge Cup, and it's a great start there from that Scullers and Molesey composite on the left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, clean start, both crews being steered by the athletes, no cocks, both straight as a die, really good. Maybe Munster drifting a little bit over to the middle of the station. You may or may not get warned. Shiplake and Molesey moved across a bit as well. Yeah, Munster have corrected, so coming off the end of the island. We'll see how this progresses as we get the camera from side view.
No warnings yet from Richard Phelps. The umpire is happy with the position of the crew from Ruderverein Munster. In fact, he's warning the Scullers crew who have drifted out into the centre of the water, and that was quite an alarming shout there from Richard Phelps.
Yeah, that's having been under pressure and the Germans moved across, and here you go, you can see the stern. This crew now, after being warned, is moving back towards the booms and away from the German crew.
And that's a great shot there of Douwe de Graaf in the stroke seat, who's steering this crew from the stroke seat. So he's right at the front of the boat. He can see straight down the course, but he can't really see behind him, Adrian. It's a challenging position to be in, but certainly on a straight course, it's where most crews of this level opt to have the steering.
Yeah, he has a full view of down the course, and there's a couple of lines, pylons behind the start line that line up. But here, within a minute and a half of the race, this composite crew from Tideway Scullers and Molesey really have put a length clear water on the German crew and look moving really nicely. And here we can see the German crew from Ruderverein Munster really technically moving quite nicely there. Some big guys moving pretty well, but struggling under the pressure from the British crew.
Yeah, great shots there of the Munster crew, a development crew for the Germans. Few under 23s in there, as Adrian's already mentioned. Munster based just outside of Dortmund in the north of Germany, and it's just going to be no match for this very impressive under 23 crew from Great Britain. We'll probably see these guys racing at the under 23 World Championships in this combination, and they're down at 35 strokes a minute, but just looking sensational.
They really are. They've got a lot, looking in contrast to the other crew, a lot of length and stuff like that, and consistency in what they're doing, and just driving the boat a long way. In a big headwind like this, the rate can be a bit lower. You can see 33, 34 strokes a minute, but really long rhythm. It's going to stand them in good stead going down the course.
And two of these guys, of course, Douwe de Graaf, Calvin Tarksey, so stroke and two in the Tideway Scullers lycras, which are the white, red and yellow. They've rowed together since school, since their school days. They were in that historic St Paul's Boys School 8 that broke the record for the Princess Elizabeth back in 2018, and they've gone to the Junior World Championships together. They've been to the Under 23 World Championships together in a pair, securing a brilliant gold medal at the Under 23s, and here they are looking to earn a vest once again at this year's championships, joined by Miles Beeson from originally the Aberdeen Schools Rowing Association, and Harry Geffen in the bow seat, both representing Molesey Boat Club here this week. And Munster, we've got the crew of Dorman, Kruse, Strulik and Overath.
You can see that Ollie Kruse in the three seats. He's been to the American University of Northeastern, and also rowed in the 2020 gold medal 8 of the European Under-23 Championships. And here, just you can see the guys here. It's a good-looking crew. They're strong guys. The contrast is that they're not quite rowing as long as the British crew, and I think that's the difference. The power is probably quite similar. They're moving quite well together, just not quite the reach around the pin. And when you talk about that, it's how far they're reaching forward, not quite the same as the British crew.
Yeah, and I saw there it was William Strulik in the two-seat that just was looking around to see where their opposition was. I think he's making the calls in this crew, but look at this, sensational from de Graaf, Beeson, Tarksey and Geffen. And I certainly, if I was an under-23 selector looking at this performance against the German development crew, there would be stars in my eyes.
Yeah, it's a really good effort. If you think here, we've got 5 athletes in this event from American universities, 1 from Northeastern, 2 from here, from Harvard, and 2 from Yale. And they're encouraging these guys shouldn't come back to row for their clubs in the club events, because they're not allowed to do that because of the standard they row at the US universities. They're students, but they can come and row 1 level higher in the intermediate event and compete in an event like the visitors, which is, you know, they've got to race against things like Cambridge University crew who are also students. So really doing a good job of this, rowing nicely away. And you can see in this crew here, British crew, there's a tandem. So the middle two guys, instead of being alternatives, you look at the German crew, it alternates one side than the other. The British crew have two guys in the middle on the same side. And in fact, in a coxswain four, that probably helps you go more straight because the power balance between the crews is more even. Something you get quite often in coxswain fours.
And that must be a really marked decision, actually, Adrian, because this British crew, the lineup's changed a number of times, I'm informed, over the last few weeks. They've been switching seats around, playing around with that combination, and in fact it's different to the one labelled in our programmes today. In fact, they've switched Calvin Tarksey and Miles Beeson in the middle of this crew over, and I think that, you know, it's obviously very clear that that tandem rig was something that has worked well for them.
Yeah, in order for a tandem to really work, the bow, so the person nearest us in the tandem needs to row the longest out of the two of them. So otherwise the oars come close together. So when you do a tandem, the person who tends to naturally row the longest under pressure is the person you put furthest towards the bows, so furthest nearest us. But here, as we're going along here, you can see the rhythm in this Molesey Tideway Scullers crew, really languid. They're totally under control. The bowmen, they're having a look, making sure they're not getting close to the booms. The German crew still having to work quite hard to try and fight their way back on terms.
I mean, lovely to see this crew coming together, because I know a lot of them have had very disrupted university years, and I'm sure the same of the Munster crew as well. You mentioned that one of those guys was in the Northeastern Crew's rowing team, but I know especially for the guys from Yale and Harvard in this crew, you know, Calvin and Dower that raced the pair last year, because they were forced to stay home with COVID from Harvard, they were unable to get to university for their studies. They represented Tideway Scullers all year on the domestic scene, which was wonderful and great to see them back in their home club lycras now.
Yeah, it really is. And here we have a little comment here from Ruderverein Munster from the Munster crew. He said since 2018 he's wanted to come to Henley, and he says for him it's the biggest rowing event in the world after the Olympics and the World Championships. So it kind of really shows the ambition of people that want to come to this event. For all its eclectic mix of spectators, socialising and world-class competition.
Well, this is a really one-to-watch crew here in this Visitors Challenge Cup event. They have demonstrated that this promising under-23 Great Britain crew is capable enough to beat out the German side. And a nice, clean, fair race here for the Molesey Tideway Scullers composite that will watch Munster Ruderverein cross the line and grant them a hip hip hooray as they progress through to the next stage of the Visitors Challenge Cup.